Meanwhile, here in Washington, lawmakers are combing through the text of the Inflation Reduction Act, legislation that will make hundreds of billions of dollars of investments in clean energy in hopes of bringing down the carbon curve and stopping runaway climate change and freak natural disasters like we're seeing in Kentucky. The argument that the bill is better than nothing might be true, but it's still worth examining provisions that absolutely should not be in it and cut against the overall goal of reducing emissions. I mean, there is a reason for headlines like this from the Wall Street Journal. Quote, Senate climate bill is a boon for fossil fuels. One reason why that is there's a provision in the bill that requires the federal government to open up millions of acres of federal land, both on and offshore, to oil and gas companies for new extraction projects. In fact, it's stipulated in the bill that the Interior Department is not allowed to expand wind and solar power on federal land until it first gives fossil fuel companies access as well. The bill also opens up 80 million acres in the Gulf of Mexico to be exploited by oil companies. The Biden administration opened up the area for leases last year, but a federal judge invalidated that auction because a proper study wasn't done on the environmental impacts. Wall Street Journal notes that major oil companies such as Chevron, ExxonMobil, and Shell that had bids in the offshore auction could quickly benefit. There are also subsidies for so-called on-site carbon capture technology that will literally keep coal and gas power plants in operation even longer. Also worth noting that compared to prior iterations of the bill, the Manchin-Schumer deal slashes the clean energy tax credit by 80%. Politico reported that during an earnings call on Thursday, the senior vice president at Valero, one of the largest oil refiners in the U.S., boasted that there are some things in the bill that are, quote, helpful to our business. On the flip side, the environmental group Earth Justice slammed the inclusion of pro-fossil fuel initiatives in the bill. President Abigail Dillon said in a statement, quote, tax credits that extend the life of dirty coal plants will make it harder to reach critical targets for clean power, and we are outraged that this deal would undermine historic investments in clean energy by holding wind and solar projects hostage to massive new oil and gas leasing off our coasts and on our public lands. We can't afford to double down on fossil fuels at this late stage of the climate crisis. Climate justice for communities that bear the burden of fossil extraction, including in the Gulf of Mexico, Appalachia, and Alaska, requires deep investment in new sustainable jobs, not new federal oil leasing. Can't help but wonder how much better this deal could have been if instead of coddling Joe Manchin for 18 months, Democrats actually threatened to ruin his political career if he didn't fall in line. Anyway, there's still time for that, too. Hey, thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of our new videos. Also, if you want to see Means Morning News in its complete form, not just the clips we post here, head on over to Means TV and get access to all our new episodes and our entire backlog, plus tons of other great movies and original TV shows.